Have you ever had a premonition, a feeling that something dreadful was about to happen?
Want to hear one of my ideas for a perfect murder?
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother.
Jumped in the play, you didn't know where you were. You gasped, but you didn't know.
You can jump, I said.
Well, here we are again.
Yes.
Recommend anything?
Hello and welcome to HitchPod, a podcast about the movies of the famous director Alfred Hitchcock, where we watch a Hitchcock movie every month and then talk about it. I'm here with Dan Lipke and my name is Kat Jones. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Kat.
And today we are talking about Rear Window.
Yes, that's the one that came out of our magical random number generator as our first movie, so that's what we've got.
Excellent. Rear Window is one of my favourite movies as well. Of course, most of these are. 1954, I believe we're stepping back in time, Dan.
Stepping back in time, what's that? That's 62 years backwards in time?
Yeah. So this film gives us an idea of what it was like in the 1950s. So tell me, what sort of ratings does this movie get when you go in and delve into the websites?
Okay, well, I went to IMDb, had a look on that. They give it 8.5 out of 10 with their magic algorithm. and that's enough to make it the 40th best movie of all time.
Wow.
And it's squeezed in between The Green Mile and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So
I don't know if I agree with either of those two.
yeah, well, this movie... This movie's kind of a blend, isn't it? You got a couple of Terminators in there running around.
I guess so.
You've got some kind of prisoner about to be sentenced to death. I'm not exactly sure what The Green Mile's about.
I don't know that any of those movies have stuck in my head. I can't really say that The Terminator is quite of the standard of a Hitchcock movie. But
Yeah, well, certainly not the later movies. Terminator 2 is probably the best of them. So it's probably deserves being the 41st best movie of all time, but we'll give Rear Window the edge over it.
so that's the territory we're in, people. Number 40.
Yep, number 40. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 100%.
Ah.
An average of 8.9 out of 10.
Not a single negative.
Not a single negative review. 63 critic reviews. All of them gave it a thumbs up.
Wow.
So all good from Rotten Tomatoes' perspective.
Excellent. And what about the Academy? What did the Academy think of it?
The Academy nominated it for 4 Oscars. Best Director,
right. Yep.
Best Screenplay, Best Cinematography in colour, because back then they had 2 different categories for Best Cinematography. They had Best Cinematography for colour and Best for black and white. So this was the colour nominee, or one of the nominees.
Yeah, I guess if you were going these days for the black and white nomination, there'd be a smaller pool. So.
It would be a smaller pool. You'd be able to get through easily. They probably should have like a 3D nomination these days or something.
Yep.
And it was also nominated for Best Sound, but it didn't win any of them because On the Waterfront basically scooped everything that year. That was Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando leading the charge after his appearance a few years earlier, I think, in A Streetcar Named Desire, where he shouted Stella, which is where I assume the character Stella in this movie
yes,
was
of
named
course.
for. Yeah.
Great homage to Stella. Unfortunately, Hitchcock was snubbed a few times for Academy Awards. People didn't think his work was that great back in the 50s.
Well, we know better now.
We do know better. Yeah. And so where do people get this movie? If you haven't watched this movie already, we will tell you when you need to turn off and go and watch it. Where do we get it from though, Dan?
Well, it's available on Amazon or iTunes. I mean, it's available on DVD and a whole heap of DVD collections. It was recently shown on Foxtel Classics if you happen to be living in Australia and have access to, a month ago when it was actually on. But it'll probably come around again. So if you do have access to it, please watch it. And that way you can enjoy us talking about it without spoilers.
Yes,
because we will be spoiling this pretty soon.
Yeah, we will, yes, in the next few minutes. There are some very famous and wonderful actors in this movie. We have James Stewart in the lead role and Grace Kelly in the lead role as well.
Yep.
And I guess the third main character is probably the nurse, and that is Thelma Ritter.
Yes, she's the one who plays the previously mentioned Stella.
Yes. Indeed. So, give a synopsis of the movie. it's based on a book, as all Hitchcock movies were pretty much based on books, and then he never really stuck to the story.
Yeah.
So we don't really need to mention the book. It's probably nothing like the book.
Yeah, it was actually a short story, I think, by
yep.
someone named Cornell Woolridge. So
you go.
called It Had to Be Murder. So
It had to be murder. So spoiler, is there
spoiler,
a murder in
it
this
had to
one,
be
Dan?
murder, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, this wheelchair-bound main character, Jimmy Stewart, spying on his neighbours from his apartment in Greenwich Village in New York City, and he becomes convinced one of them has committed murder.
Yep.
That's
So
the one sentence.
That's the IMDb synopsis.
Yep. Okay. So, running through some of the main plot points, I guess it's just a classic thriller, really, isn't it?
It is, and this is the point where if you haven't watched the movie, you need to stop, go find the movie, because from now on it's full spoilers. We're about to go through the plot.
Indeed. So poor old the main character Jimmy Stewart, whose real name in the actual movie was L.B. Jeffries. They call him Jeff.
Yep.
So Jeff, a news photographer, broke his leg during a dangerous assignment in which he seemed to be running around on a racetrack.
That
Dan.
seems very dangerous, doesn't it?
does.
He's shooting a car race.
Yeah.
He's a photographer.
Yeah.
And he's on the racetrack.
And in the first few minutes of the film, we see all these other photographs, and none of them are taken in safe places.
No, he's a bit of a lunatic.
Yeah, he's a
really.
bit of a crazy photographer. He's up on mountains and jumping off cliffs and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, he is confined to recover from this broken leg, and he's in his New York apartment. Out of boredom, starts to spy on his neighbours over his sort of the back window, his rear window.
His
I
rear
guess.
window, yes.
And he sees one of his neighbours acting suspiciously, becomes convinced this guy has killed his wife and wants to investigate it. And the rest of the movie is really made up with that investigation, him and his cronies.
Yeah. So who are the neighbours that he's spying on? Because this is all in like a courtyard kind of area. You can see them all. There's a courtyard in the middle, and he's basically looking at a block of maybe 6 windows across the courtyard.
Yeah, probably more than that.
Probably
I think there's
more?
12 or
12.
16 in there. There's about three
So is it
stories,
3 by
3 or
3
4
that-
stories.
yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So a lot of apartments looking over a central courtyard area. And it's the back window pretty much of all of these apartments. So they don't always have a lot of privacy there. You can see straight in pretty much to all of their houses.
Well, there is one one of the neighbours draws their curtains, but the rest of them are
which
pretty
one's-
much.
which one drew the
I think the newlyweds.
Oh, the
the newlyweds have business to
You know
do.
who drew the curtains there? It was only the censor.
The censors
drew the curtains. I think that Hitchcock would have been quite happy to leave the curtains open on the newlyweds, but that sort of thing was not permitted back then.
Yes.
So who are the neighbours? Who were your favourite neighbours, Dan, in this?
Well,
in this one?
I think Miss Torso stood out. She's the young dancer who just spends most of the movie just dancing around,
Yeah.
kind of in semi-clad.
Yeah,
would you
is
say?
that the best euphemism for breasts that you've ever heard?
I think
Miss
so.
Torso.
Miss Torso, yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty
Yep.
neutral. Yeah. So she's a dancer, and we found out from looking back into the archives that she was actually just doing amateur dance steps. She wasn't a professional dancer. The actress.
Yes.
And she just did whatever she wanted, and she was mostly dancing nearly every shot. Who else? We've got a sad old lady too, haven't we?
We do. That's Miss Lonely Hearts, I think she's dubbed.
Yep.
And she's just a sad, a lonely woman.
Hmm.
Very sad.
And possibly the corollary of Jimmy Stewart, if he never gets married, that's how he will end up as
Yep.
well, I think. There's a composer.
He'll end up a single middle-aged
Yeah,
woman.
that's right. Very similar. You're turning to a middle-aged woman. There's also a composer or a pianist who
Yeah.
goes through a number of fiery transformations during the movie.
Yes, he's playing on the piano and he's making up songs and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and eventually he gets the song right by the end. That's another spoiler, Dan.
He does. Yep, big
But
spoiler that one.
there are various moments where he throws his song, his paperwork all over the piano, I think.
Yeah. So maybe he's like a Hitchcock representative. Like he's like the tortured artiste.
Yeah, could be. There's just a pretty ordinary couple with a dog
Yep.
up in the top apartment. They send their dog down in a basket to go to the toilet.
Yeah. So that's a neat trick. I should try that with my dogs. I
Yep.
can't imagine them trying to get down in a basket. Not that I'm on the 3rd level, but maybe I could build a 3rd level or something for them to go down in.
And they also sleep on their balcony. And it's really hot, isn't it? This is a heat wave, I think, in New York.
Yeah, it's set presumably in maybe it's a hot August night, Neil Diamond style, and they're all sweltering.
At least 21 degrees.
At least 21 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've mentioned the newlyweds. They come in. We know they're newlyweds because I think she gets carried over the threshold. Is that
she
right?
gets carried over the threshold, and basically every time he goes out for a smoke or something at one point, and he gets summoned back into the room almost straight away.
That's
because
right.
She's insatiable.
So I don't think her feet don't hit the floor again
No,
after
no.
she's carried over the threshold.
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Now there's a sculptor.
I have no memory of the sculptor. I was reading through some of the characters in here, and I was like, sculptor?
Who's the
I
sculptor?
don't remember the sculptor at all.
I think she's the woman on the ground floor. I think. Look, someone will remember her. She is making something and very industrious. She's one of the few that venture into the backyard.
Right, I don't remember her.
She may be the one who was sunbaking too. She the one who was sunbaking.
Maybe. So, yeah, anyway, she really plays no part in the plot.
And look, so far none of these people have killed anyone.
Not
right?
yet.
Not yet. And the one who potentially is about to kill someone is Raymond Burr.
Yep, Raymond Burr.
He's the actor, actually.
He's the actor, yeah. Yeah, and he's most famous for playing Perry Mason, of course.
Yeah.
Later on. But,
Yeah.
That's how he's most famous to me, of course.
He's on the wrong side of the law here, though,
He is,
presumably.
allegedly.
Well, it's all alleged at the moment. He's a jewellery salesman, and I think we spent a fair bit of the movie trying to work out what he was selling.
Yeah,
because he's a door-to-door salesman. He's got a case that has things he's selling in it. This is a very 50s theme.
It is very the whole idea that you'd be going door to door selling jewelry. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, from a guy who looks as creepy as...
He's very creepy.
His name of his character is Lars Thorwald.
Yeah.
And his wife Anna has something wrong with her. She's bedridden most of the time, and they...
For a while, anyway.
Until she disappears.
Until she disappears.
And so I was wondering what he was selling. Actually, at some point it looked like he sold belly dancer outfits. There was a lot of diamonds and jewellery and so on, but it is in fact costume jewellery, I think we worked out.
Yeah, I think so.
So there are pretty much in this apartment every type of relationship you could imagine.
Yeah, there is. You've got the young single woman, you've got the older single woman, the older spinster, the new couples, the happy married couples, and the unhappy married couple.
Yeah, there's every type of single, every type of partner.
Yeah.
We don't have any gay couples. No overtly gay
No
couples.
overtly gay couples.
Although Hitchcock was very well known for putting gay couples into his movies. So
really?
this would be one of the few movies where there isn't somebody with that.
Did we ever see the composer with a partner?
No, we didn't.
So maybe the composer or the sculptor. Either of them
Either
are potentially gay. And who's to say Miss Lonely Hearts or Miss Torso? Although
Miss Torso ends up with someone
she
comes.
does,
I think someone from the army comes home at some point
That's
to her.
right. Yes.
Yes, a very, very short man.
Yes, that's
She's
right.
very
Yeah,
tall
'cause-
and a
'cause
very short man comes in.
She's got all these handsome potential suitors who
That's
she
right.
keeps turning away.
Yep.
And then there's the short, perhaps slightly less handsome traditionally comes back and he's very happy.
Indeed, the Miss Lonely Hearts does pair up with a couple of no-hopers at some point. She gets assaulted in one of the scenes.
Yes.
She has to push someone out of her apartment. So there's some fairly dark themes there about the dangers of being lonely, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. And of course, the underlying premise of the main two characters is how they will relate and how they will couple up. This is Grace
That's
Kelly
right.
and Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart. Now, he does an amazing job of ignoring the most unignorable Grace Kelly. He's not interested in her at all. She's throwing herself at him and he's basically just looking out the window in his binoculars.
This is the most implausible part of the entire
is.
plot, I think. The fact that Grace Kelly is throwing herself at Jimmy Stewart and he's just like, nah, sorry, back off. You're not my type. Or you.
Yep.
I'm not even sure what his argument is. She's not
No.
adventurous enough for him. She's
Yeah,
too
I
much
think
of
so.
a
Too much
New
of a
York
socialite.
socialite.
And she is, in fact, we haven't really gone into that in too much detail yet, but I think this is just the humour of Alfred Hitchcock
Yep.
here. So the implausibility that he would be not that interested in someone like Grace Kelly. But what actually happens is that while he's looking out, and he looks out of this window day and night. I don't know
Yeah.
when he doesn't sleep very much. There are a couple of shots of him falling asleep while he's doing it. So I think he's pretty. It's like the old-fashioned equivalent of him just being, on Facebook the entire time, stuck on his phone.
He's got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
He's
It's
on
like
there.
the
He's
old,
liking like that dance, Miss Torso. Like, thumbs up, share.
it's early social
Yeah,
media.
Yeah.
So anyway, one night when he is dropping off to sleep, he hears a scream. By the time he opens his eyes, he's sort of seeing the salesman taking suitcases out of the house and And basically what? Cleaning up blood?
He's cleaning up blood and, what Jimmy Stewart assumes are murder weapons, knives and
Yeah,
saws.
he's got a
and
lot
all
of
these
knives and
strange
he's
things. Yeah.
sharpening his knives.
It's very strange.
It's quite suspicious. And so Jimmy Stewart is happy to spill the beans, talk to his socialite girlfriend, Grace Kelly, whose name in the movie is Lisa Fremont, I believe. And his nurse. He's got a nurse who visits him from time to time.
She visits quite a lot, really, for something as simple as a broken leg.
Yes, you get the impression she's giving him many sponge baths, I think. They're not
Perhaps,
shown.
Yeah. So maybe that's why he's less interested in Grace Kelly.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's right. So Stella has a lot of opinions about this too. She's an older woman. She's the mother character in the movie. And he also has a friend who's a police officer, and he tells quite a lot of people about this potential murder, but no one believes him.
Yeah, so he's basically convinced of the murder because the wife has disappeared, essentially.
Yep.
And he's heard the scream, he heard mysterious goings on, and then he also saw him taking suitcases and random things outside, and he's deduced that that's the only thing it could be. He's murdered his wife, he's got rid of her.
Yeah.
It's something like sawing her up. It's like something horrific.
knows,
sawing
yeah.
her up and putting her in a suitcase.
Yeah, that's right. And so it is a bit crazy, really. It does sound like a crazy idea.
It does.
We also see sort of a heavily swaddled woman walking in and out of his apartment, and we don't know if that's the wife or is it his girlfriend or who is it?
That's all very strange.
That is very strange.
The whole thing's very strange.
Yeah, indeed. And then one of the neighbours' dogs dies, Dan. What happened in that?
The poor dog. Yeah, I can't quite remember exactly what happened to the dog. He's just dead. The dog was digging up the garden where something was buried, and I think they pointed out that we're not quite sure what was actually buried where the dog was digging, because it couldn't be the body, because I think it was the nurse pointed out that she'd basically have to be buried straight up.
Yeah, that's right.
Vertically. So, because it was a tiny area where the dog was digging. So we're not quite sure what the dog was digging, but regardless, he didn't like it.
Indeed. And so eventually the nurse and I think Lisa are both convinced about this murder.
Yeah, eventually he wins them over.
I'm not sure if they're just if it's just an elaborate plot to make Jeff fall in love, fall further in love with Grace Kelly, but she's really convinced she's going to be helping him here.
Yeah, she humours him a little bit, doesn't she? Is she humouring him? Like, is it just like, well, you want to be an action man? You've concocted this whole story about a murder. Yeah, I'll go over and do my bit to help you out.
And he's clearly been telling her she's not action girl enough for him. Yep. So here she can be a bit of action girl. She does in fact go over to this guy's house and snoops around while he's not there, which is highly risky.
It is very risky. I think he was distracted by some kind of phone call. Jimmy Stewart rang him and said, meet me somewhere. Right. Yeah. And that got him out of the house. But then obviously he couldn't be met there because Jimmy Stewart's housebound. Yeah. And so he came back and Jimmy Stewart could see him coming back and had no way of letting Grace Kelly know what was going on.
Yeah. So Grace Kelly, what was her name again? Lisa. Does get caught in the apartment and... eventually the cops sort of tell her that she has to leave.
Yeah, so Jimmy Stewart calls the cops because he can't think of any other way to basically protect her if this, who he assumes is a murderer, comes back, that he could easily just kill her right then and there. So he calls the cops and decides, well, he'll get her in trouble rather than have her murdered.
And at this point, we're still not entirely sure that he has killed his wife, but it's becoming clearer and clearer that we don't really want anyone in his vicinity. He's dangerous.
He is dangerous. Yeah. And we are getting more clues because Grace Kelly was signalling to Jimmy Stewart that she found the wedding ring of the wife, which is very suspicious.
No one ever takes their wedding ring.
No one has ever...
Not in the 50s anyway.
No, not in the 50s. Your wedding ring was just glued to your finger.
Now, the whole time this guy said that his wife had just gone off to visit her sister in the country.
Yeah,
that was the alibi?
Yes, because the police, Jimmy Stewart's police friend called him up or did some basic kind of half-assed investigating. And
I must say, he was humouring him as well. I think if I was that detective, I'd be going, just go back to sleep.
Yeah. You
pull your head in.
He's obviously on some strong medication to deal with the leg pain. Perhaps.
Yeah. They didn't make enough of that. So we'll talk about the end of the movie shortly, but some other interesting facts about this. I'm interested in the relationship between between Jeff and Lisa, the two main characters. He's a classic Hitchcock ordinary man. He's quite flawed and a little bit foolish. And he's grey haired. She's about 19.
Yeah, she's very young.
She's very young, but she's kind of the perfect woman. She's a businesswoman. She's got a lot of money. She's a socialite. She's an actress. I'm not quite sure what else she does. But
she does everything. She brings over a restaurant meal for him at one point.
Oh, that's right. She cooks lobster or something.
She's fantastic.
She's incredible.
And she's Grace Kelly.
And she's Grace Kelly. She's always pictured with this perfect lighting and impeccable outfits. In fact, her wardrobe is one of the major characters in this movie. It absolutely incredible. At one point, she just says, I think Jeff says, "Have you been window shopping?" She said, "No, I got this dress. It's worth $1,100."
Which 62 years ago is some insane
amazing.
amount.
I mean, mind you, it looks like it's worth that amount of money, but that is absolutely crazy. The costume designer in this picture was Edith Head, who did a lot of costume design for a lot of movies, including a lot of the major Hitchcock films.
And the only thing I know about Edith Head, other than Alfred Hitchcock, is that there's a They Might Be Giants song called "She Thinks She's Edith Head." So I don't know. I don't know how that relates, but
yeah, that's She I think she eventually won an award for something, but it wasn't for this movie, and it should have been.
Yeah.
So she's always very stylish and graceful. And they just don't seem to be compatible at all. She's clearly looking to be married, as every woman in the 50s was. He's very anti-marriage. She's constantly kissing him and trying to seduce him.
Yep.
And he just wants to talk about the neighbours.
Yeah, he's very interested in the neighbours, isn't he?
Yeah. What does she see in him, actually?
It's hard to tell, isn't it? I mean, we know that, she can get, princes of Monaco.
That's right.
Point.
That's right.
So
yeah.
Why she's settling for Jimmy Stewart, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess he's endearing, and he's relatively harmless too. There's a lot of dangerous-looking men in this movie, and he's relatively harmless. He can't actually move. So
yeah. Well, he's harmless, but he keeps putting himself in the way of danger.
Yes.
He's throwing himself in the middle of all these stupid situations to take a photograph.
Yeah.
I thought one of the things that I thought was interesting was that, in a way, Jimmy Stewart's essentially he's essentially watching the movie.
Yes.
Of these people, and then he's like a Hitchcock viewer who gets dragged into the plot when he sees the murder taking place, and then he actually becomes part of the plot. So I thought that was an interesting.
He's always the narrator, isn't he?
Yeah, it's just kind of a meta level. You could see how, as a viewer of Hitchcock movies, you could perhaps relate to Jimmy Stewart.
And that is very much the voyeurism theme of the movie is very strong, where we're constantly seeing through the binoculars exactly what he is seeing. We're seeing things perfectly from his point of view and his eyes. And it's an incomplete plot. We don't see what happens when Lars Thorwald draws the curtains.
No. So it's, I'm not 100% convinced. Maybe we can come back to this later. I'm not 100% convinced that he actually committed the murder.
Yeah.
I think perhaps he was just. I mean, he does confess right at the end of the movie. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm skipping ahead here, but.
Apart from that, it wasn't all that convincing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was just pushed over the edge by Jimmy Stewart's just incessant hounding of him, and he thought, "Oh God, I have to admit to this. This guy's driven me nuts."
Yeah. So when this film was being made, interestingly enough, that Alfred Hitchcock was also in the room pretty much with Jimmy Stewart. He was looking at the actors from across the courtyard, and they all had little earpieces in their ears so that he could talk to them and say,
really?
"Move this way. Can you go into the next room? Can you look towards the camera now?" And he was directing them like kind of little dolls in a doll's house, like a really amazing. Way that he was dealing with that.
Because this was all just one massive elaborate set, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't lots of little tiny pieces or studio. Yep. It was actually a real set that was built with almost real apartments.
Yeah.
So the theme of the neighbourhood theme is really interesting as well. The sort of loneliness of how everyone's in their own little apartment. No one really talks to anyone else.
Yeah, there's at one point the when the dog is killed, the neighbour woman screams something about how you're not proper neighbours, you're all bad neighbours.
Yeah, that's right. And occasionally you see them talking to each other. Maybe towards the end of the movie they're a little bit more friendly to each other, but at the start they kind of, they tell, don't dig up those flowers to the dog, and there's a bit of tension between them. it also shows, it really does show life in the 50s. It's an interesting view of this is what ordinary life looks like. You know, you see people shaving and cooking and just walking around, and not a lot of movies showed that. You know, you don't see them on the toilet, but everything but.
Yeah.
It's not very common that you see all of that. Hitchcock was very good at that, showing the ordinary parts of life as well. And the humour, lots of humour in this movie as well.
There were a few good lines. There was one where Jeff says, "Why would a man leave his apartment 3 times on a rainy night with a suitcase and come back 3 times?" This is when he's trying to convince Lisa about the murder. And Lisa's reply was, he likes the way his wife welcomes him home.
Yes. I think that's a lovely reply. A lot of these good one-liners are actually mumbled, so it is hard to pick them up. You've got to pick them up. I'm not sure that I remember. I remember the line about the ham bone. Remember that one where the dog was scratching around in the garden? So Jeff's talking to the detective.
Yes.
And he says into the phone, he killed a dog last night because the dog was scratching around in the garden. You know why? Because he had something buried in the garden that the dog scented. Yeah,
and the police detective replies, like an old ham bone.
And Jeff said, I don't know what pet names Thorwald had for his wife. So it's a fairly dark bit of humour there.
Yes.
And then there's a couple of things that Stella says as well.
Stella's got most of the one-liners. Yeah,
she has got some good lines.
But yeah, at one point she's talking to Jeff, and this was after she's been arrested for snooping around in Thorwald's house. And Stella says, "How much do we need to bail Lisa from jail?" And Jeff says, "Well, this is first offence burglary. That's about $250. And I have 127. And then Stella checks Lisa's handbag and says, 50 cents. I've got $20 or so in my purse. And then Jeff says, "And what about the rest?" And then Stella replies, "When the cops at the station see Lisa, they'll even contribute." So fair enough.
Yeah,
So it's not that he doesn't realise that she's very attractive. It's just that he somehow doesn't want to settle down with it.
And Stella gives him a lot of marriage advice too. So Jeff says to Stella, she wants me to marry her, and Stella says, "That's normal." And Jeff says, "I don't want to." And Stella says, "That's abnormal." So
yeah, very 50s.
Yes. And Lisa at one point says, "I wish I was creative." And Jeff says, "You're great at creating difficult situations." It's really horrible.
He's a curmudgeon.
And I love the lines. Actually, we'll talk a little bit about the lines between Stella and Lisa. They have a really nice, friendly relationship as well. At one point, Stella gets into it too. She's at the apartment and it's nighttime, and she says, "Let's go down there and find out what's buried in the garden." And Lisa replies, "Why not? I've always wanted to meet Mrs. Thorwald." It's a really, really beautiful humour in here. I think Stella is just a great character. She's a really funny character as well.
She is.
And really gory too, I think.
Yeah. The whole movie's quite dark, really.
Yep. Yeah, so let's talk about whether the movie does pass the Bechdel test.
And we do have to confirm that it's Bechdel, not Bechdel.
Yes, I have intelligence that suggests that this is actually how the woman herself pronounces her name.
Yes, Bechdel.
Bechdel.
I think I've always pronounced it Bechdel, but I'll strive to correct myself from now on.
We shall. So the rules of the Bechdel test, does it pass? It has to have at least 2 named women in the movie who talk to each other about something besides a man.
Okay, so we've got multiple named women. We've got.
Now, unfortunately, some of them are in their own apartments, so
yes.
It is difficult. A lot of female characters, but difficult for them to talk to each other.
This is true, and some of the named women are really just nicknamed women, aren't they?
They are. I'm not sure Miss Torsa counts.
No, not sure that counts.
I'm not sure if you name someone after their breasts that it actually counts.
That doesn't qualify as feminism to name someone after their breasts. No.
Possibly not. No.
Possibly not.
No.
So the main opportunity is with Grace Kelly's character and Stella.
Yeah.
And I think it does pass because they discuss the murder. They also talk about the dog's death and the wedding ring. They discuss a few things that are definitely not about a man.
That's right. Yeah, because if they only talked about the murderer, which is Thorwald, that would be a problem. If they only talked about marriage, that would be a problem.
Yep.
But yeah, they definitely discuss many things. And look, it's no mean feat for a movie back in the 50s to pass this test. So excellent work. Not all of Hitchcock's work passes, but we'll kind of let that go. And what are some of the other things that we were We're going to talk about the tribute, the homage, or the remake. There's been a lot of remakes of this movie.
Well, there's been one main one. I mean, the main tribute, I think, is the Simpsons episode. And then the Simpsons episode, Bart of Darkness, Bart breaks his leg in a swimming pool accident. And they basically do... Probably the second half of that episode is a tribute to Rear Window, because he hears...
A scream.
He hears Ned Flanders murder his wife, apparently, but it turns out, spoiler for Bart of Darkness, that Ned Flanders just didn't murder his wife. He screamed because he murdered a pot plant or something.
Yes.
But so that's kind of a Simpsons tribute. But there was a remake in 1998. I'm not. I think most Hitchcock remakes aren't a great idea. This one seems to be a really, really poor
really dodgy,
and twisted
isn't it?
idea, because it stars Christopher Reeve and Daryl Hannah. And this was after Christopher Reeve's accident.
Oh,
because
God.
it would be kind of chilling if it had been before.
Yes, it would be.
But I'm just not sure how tasteful that is.
Oh,
to
that's
have
a
Christopher
terrible
Reeve
idea.
to-
It's awful.
And and it's not a great idea to have Daryl Hannah playing a socialite who's also a mermaid. There's some part of the time either. So it's a very strange choice for a remake. I'm not sure that works.
Oh no! It would have been quite clever if he'd been the murderer in the wheelchair or something different, but not. Oh God, that is such a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the best way they could have done it.
Do you reckon? And he's got such a literal agent. Here I go. I've got my actors in a wheelchair. What movie could he possibly make?
Yep.
I think there's only one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
Yes.
Really awful.
No. So that's 1998 remake Rear Window. So don't watch that one. If you accidentally watch that one, then I'm very sorry.
Yeah, please don't watch that one. There's been a couple of movies subsequent to Rear Window. There's one in 1984 called Body Double. I don't know very much about it, but it was pretty much just people looking out the rear window and trying to catch people having sex in the opposite apartment blocks.
Okay.
So that one, I think most of the remakes have been slightly more erotic than this one.
more voyeuristic.
Although this one was very controversial of its time. People didn't like the idea that someone was spying. And it was quite a bit of controversy, and a lot of critics, the ones that didn't like it at the time, it was mainly because of that voyeuristic element.
All right, so they're more prudish in the 80s than they were in the 50s.
Yeah, possibly. So we didn't really talk about the end of the movie. So
let's
so
finish it
basically, what happens is that that Lars Thorwald sees the signalling to Jimmy Stewart and realises that the person who's been spying on him all this time is across the apartment block, and
because he's the one who called as well. He knew that someone was sort of onto him.
Yeah, he knew that the police were sniffing around, and he got the note saying, "I know what you did." And so at that point, Thorwald decides he's going to come and find whoever this man is that's thrown him under the bus, and he comes into the apartment, and you can tell that he's on his way to Jimmy Stewart, who cannot move.
Yep.
And then eventually he turns up.
And there's a bit of a scuffle.
Yeah. He tries to throw him out the window, although before that, Jimmy Stewart tries to blind him with his camera flashes.
Yeah, so that gave an opportunity for Hitchcock to do some fancy kind of early special effects with a flashing flashlight to show him being blinded.
So he's been blinded, the whole world goes red as he's looking at Jimmy Stewart. And eventually he then throws him out the window, which is a very dramatic final event. You don't know if he's going to survive that, but... he kind of does.
He kind of does.
Yeah.
I think the police show up and kind of break his fall.
Someone catches him, that's right. Yeah.
And it may have been his buddy on the police force actually doing something useful finally.
Yeah, there's often a bumbling cop in these Hitchcock movies. But so he gets saved, although he does break another leg.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
his remaining leg.
Yeah, so the final scene is him back in a wheelchair, but now he's got 2 broken legs. So that's kind of the punchline to the whole movie.
So some more humour there at the very end. And of course, Lisa, Grace Kelly's reading a book at the end about where she's going to go adventuring next now that she has a taste for it.
Yep.
She's going to go to the Himalayas.
Himalayas, yeah.
Which seems very unlikely.
It does seem very unlikely because as soon as he falls asleep, she switches that book out for a fashion magazine. So
yeah, she
has
can truly do anything.
Yep.
So, and of course, she's not wearing the frock anymore. She's got a pair of jeans on, I think, in this last scene.
She's far more casual.
Yeah. You get the impression that they'll be married any instant.
Yes.
So, happy ending.
Very happy ending.
Very happy ending. And only one extra broken leg out of it.
Yeah.
And presumably Thorwald is taken away by the police.
Yes. Although I'm kind of interested in, would he actually be convicted? I'm kind of interested in the
Did he
trial
get off?
portion of it.
Where's the sequel?
I mean, especially if he's defended by his twin brother Perry Mason, who never lost a case.
That'd be fascinating. Now that would have been a better remake. That'd be a great sequel.
The trial of whatever his name was.
The calling of all the witnesses from all the apartments who heard nothing.
I think he's going to get off. I really don't see.
We've got
how
no
they've got
body,
enough
have we?
evidence.
No body.
No body.
Yeah.
We've got a witness who we're pretty sure is high on painkillers most of the time.
Yeah.
And rest of it is highly circumstantial.
We've got evidence that was obtained by breaking and entering. I'm not sure that can be submitted.
No, I think he's getting off.
Yeah, he could be getting off. Yeah, very good. But is he getting off from the attempted murder charge of throwing Jeff out the window?
I think that's self-defense at this point. This guy's they'll arrest him for harassment.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Yes.
So we'd like to think about how, if this film was made in modern times, how would modern technology change or improve or completely stuff up the plot?
Well, I think you discussed one earlier. He may not even be watching anybody in the vicinity at all. He could just be on Facebook or Twitter or something and just paying no attention to his actual physical environment.
Could you discover a murder just by following Twitter?
You probably could. I'm sure people have.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the remake. Maybe someone's following someone on Twitter and gets clues that they've committed a murder, and
could be.
There
That could be a good remake. So yeah, he probably wouldn't be watching. He wouldn't have even noticed a single thing going on out of his window.
He'd be binge watching, something on Netflix.
Yep, absolutely. And also there'd be no sort of worrying about the murderer coming to murder him, or he'd be just texting Grace Kelly in the apartment, going, "Quick, he's coming back."
Yeah, get out of there. So she just, and he probably one of the things that is interesting is that he is a photographer, and when he first sees Raymond Burr, he doesn't take any photos of any of his nonsense. But if he had a video camera, photographs may not give it away too much, and you've got to time your photography probably to catch any evidence. But he could video it if he had a phone.
Yeah, that's true. So. Yeah. So lots of ways that technology could improve the plot. Or perhaps
and of course, if you had modern DNA testing CSI style, then maybe he would get thrown in jail. So,
could be, yeah, that's true. That'd ruin it altogether.
It would ruin it, yes. So are we going to go through the Hitchcock movie checklist? These are the things we look for in every Hitchcock movie?
Yes.
Or will be looking for. This is our first one, of course.
And the most important one is the MacGuffin.
The MacGuffin.
Now, and what is the MacGuffin? The MacGuffin is the plot device that doesn't actually mean anything, that really could be interchangeable. Yeah,
so basically I think the definition we're working with is that it's just an interchangeable object that everybody wants, but it doesn't really mean anything in and of itself.
Yes, and it doesn't matter what it is.
Doesn't really matter.
It doesn't drive the story.
Yeah. So the argument in this one is that it's probably the body of the wife.
Yeah.
Because that could, like, if I think I made a note that if he was smuggling out proceeds from a robbery or something, the plot would be exactly the same. It doesn't really have to be a victim of a murder. It could be a robbery proceeds, could be the Mona Lisa. It
could be almost any type of crime. So maybe the suspected murder, the actual murder, is also the MacGuffin. That's a possibility. Yep. It might not just be the body, but it's never actually found or never really proven, and it doesn't really matter to the end of the story. So yeah, that's definitely the MacGuffin. What about the cameo? Did you see where Alfred Hitchcock makes an appearance?
I forgot to look out for the cameo, but there's only one place where anyone other than the kind of main neighbours come in is there's a party at the pianist place at one point. So I assume he was in there somewhere.
No, he was not in there.
He wasn't?
Where
was he?
He was winding a clock in the songwriter's apartment. So I'm not sure who he was supposed to be, but he was winding a clock, and that was at about the 25-minute mark.
Okay, well, I'll have to go back and check that.
So the song, he comes in, and actually some people think that he looks straight at the camera at that point, but he's just chatting with the songwriter,
right.
the songwriter. Actually, that's a good time to mention the music in this movie. The music is kind of incidental. It comes from the different apartments. So you're hearing music sometimes from the songwriter's apartment. It's the pianist trying to compose his song, and then sometimes it's someone's radio, like breakfast radio, and then somewhere else someone's playing Bing Crosby, or at some point they play That's Amore over the... So you're just hearing the various apartments and the songs coming from those apartments. You're not hearing a soundtrack, really.
Yeah, I think there's a fancy name for that. I think diagenic, maybe?
Yes.
Something like that, yeah. I think that's the technical term.
So it's a wonderful way. And in fact, there's not many songs, but the song that the songwriter eventually gets right and he nails it and he sort of launches it at the party, that song is called Lisa.
Oh, really?
Apparently, yep.
Oh.
And the composer in the apartment eventually does write a song, and the name of the song is Lisa.
Oh, that's very
It's a
interesting.
coincidence.
Yeah. Is it a coincidence?
Yeah. Well, it is one of the few songs that the composer for the movie actually did
Yep.
the opening and the closing and that particular song.
Okay.
There's not much else there. So yes, presumably they named it after Lisa.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other features of a Hitchcock movie, the mother character.
So that's clearly Stella the nurse.
Yes.
She's very much the older woman. I mean, you could argue, I guess, that Miss Lonely Hearts, but she doesn't actually have any dialogue with him, so it doesn't really count, I don't think.
No, and she's not really a mother character, whereas Stella is a clear mother character,
Yeah.
telling him
She's
what to do all the time.
Literally looking after him,
Yeah.
bathing him, as we assumed before.
And also, as always, a very strong character and very affectionately treated. No kind of making fun of an older woman.
Yep.
She's a great character, and he clearly loved his mother, and gave her a lot of time. Birds and animals, quite a few birds and animals in this.
Yeah. Well, the dog is the obvious animal.
Yeah. There are some birds. There's a couple on the left. Actually, that might be two women. The two women sunbathers.
Oh.
There's our gay couple.
Yeah, there we go.
The two women on the left. In fact, they were nude sunbathing at the start.
Very, very good.
We forgot to mention that. They had a bird in a cage.
Oh, did they? I didn't notice the bird.
They were a couple on the left-hand side of the apartments, I think. So they had a bird.
I need to pay far closer attention to some of these details, clearly.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail. You could watch this movie and keep finding things along the way.
We've got the lead character standing still / or on the run. These seem to be the two types of characters.
You can't be anything
the two
between.
Yeah, it's like Zero or just sprinting for your life. And of course, in this one, he's not quite literally standing still. He's literally sitting still.
Yeah, he's certainly not on the run.
Yeah.
He couldn't run anywhere. He's definitely stagnating, though. Even if he wasn't in the wheelchair, he's also refusing marriage, not moving on, wanting to remain the adventurer forever, well into his 50s, because he's clearly got very grey hair.
So he's literally and metaphorically not going anywhere.
Yeah. So, and by the end of it, he seems to come round to the idea. I think when Lisa was almost attacked by Raymond Burr, he realised that, no, I better marry this one.
Yeah.
At the end, though, Lisa shows that she's developed. Now, she has moved on. She's definitely become more of an adventurer. So he's kind of hopeless. He doesn't develop much, but she does.
Yeah, or at least she's learned how to feign it well enough to hook him.
Yeah.
So one of those two possibilities.
She's really kind of perfect, isn't she?
She is.
So he's very much the ordinary man. It's also another feature of the Hitchcock. Flawed and a little bit crazy. And what are our sex references in this movie, Dan?
Well, I think the only one that kind of stood out to me was Jimmy Stewart was trying to pop the cork on the champagne bottle and failed to do so.
I'd forgotten about that.
Which I assume is some kind of impotence metaphor.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, Hitchcock loved that kind of thing. So I'm sure that was deliberate. Also the cast up to his waist. I mean,
Yes.
that's
It's a very high cast.
it was a very high cast. It was right, and just the fact that his leg was stuck out there in front of him the whole time. That could be another visual sex reference. So any other comments you want to make about this movie before we wind up?
I think we've pretty much covered everything, or I've covered everything that was in my notes anyway. I'm not sure there's anything left. What we're going to do each week, though, is we're going to, as we go further into this list, we're going to make our own individual rankings of these movies.
Yes.
So at the moment, it's very easy. This one is both the best and the worst Hitchcock movie we've seen so far.
Yep.
Well,
top
for
of my
me,
list,
yeah.
top of my list, and bottom of my
Yes.
list as well.
So number 1 out of 1 for both of us. And now we have to work out what the next movie is going to be.
Yes, I believe you're going to do something with numbers and randomly generate
press my random number generator.
Yep. Which movie have we got next?
All right. And we've got Strangers on a Train.
Woohoo! Strangers on a Train. And I think I've only probably watched that movie once. It was a long time ago.
All right. Well, I haven't seen it ever, but the IMDb description says a psychotic socialite confronts a pro tennis star with a theory on how two complete strangers can get away with murder and this is a theory that he plans to implement. So the stars Farley Granger, Robert Walker, and Ruth Roman, I haven't heard of any of those people.
No, they're not as recognisable as some others. So
Although the one name, apart from Hitchcock, the one name I do recognise is Raymond Chandler wrote the screenplay, or co-wrote it at least, with Cosenzi Ormonde.
And of course, the author of the novel, the 1950 novel of the same name, is Patricia Highsmith, is a very famous author.
There you go.
So yeah, very interesting, this film.
Okay, so what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to our website. That's hitchpodonline.com. We'll have details on where you can find Strangers on a Train, whether you can, presumably iTunes, Amazon, all the rest. But if there's any other places, we'll have that on the website. That's also where you go to find any other updates we have on the podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter, and please do, at HitchPod Tweets. And that's about it, I think.
I think that is it.
All right, thanks. We'll see you next month.
See you next time. Bye.